Hello everybody and welcome back to Evospace. As always, I am Dor, and today we're going to go ahead and set up the oil line, right? We can't set it up fully because we need stainless steel for some of the recipes, but we can go ahead and get most of it down and it can start producing the stuff that we need, and then when we get the stainless steel up and running, we can go ahead and just connect those lines in to where we need them to go. So we're only going to have 3 of these guys down, and then we will probably end up putting down more if we need them. I think the 3 of these are going to be more than enough oil coming through the line that we need, so I'm not going to go too overboard with it. We're going to go ahead and use the aluminum piping here just so we can keep it away from the copper and the steel lines. And with the piping down, we're only going to have 2 of these things running right now. The pyrolysis units, we'll have 2 of them going, and that should be producing more than enough stuff that we need. We're going to go ahead and select the recipe that breaks it down with steam because it kind of increases the outputs here. So we'll do that. We'll run a steam line over here to go ahead and power this thing up. And then on the bottom here, we can go ahead and run our little heat line here. So we'll just drop those down for right now so that I come back and actually connect them in. And then we can go ahead and run a filter pump on this to go ahead and bring out the gasoline. And then we can run a normal pump on here to go ahead and pump in the steam because we need that going into that as well. And then on the front end here, we're going to have the filter pumps pulling out the methane, and that's going to go into another pyrolysis unit so that we can go ahead and make producer gas because we need that as well. So that can go there. That should be enough room for this. And since we're above ground, I'm just going to stick with aluminum piping on these little things here, but in a second when we branch out the heavy oil, we're just going to use probably copper piping because I don't want them to reconnect with the raw oil line over there. These ones should be fine because they're a little bit of ways, but we need this one making producer gas, which is this recipe here. And then since this is only going to be outputting producer gas, we don't need to run a filter on that pump. We just need that to go ahead and head on into one of these guys. So this can go ahead and hang out there. That's going to go ahead and take the producer gas, mix it with the catalyst cell to go ahead and make the ethylene that we're going to need, but we can't make that yet. So that's just going to go ahead and hang out there. We can go ahead and punch a hole to go ahead and run the power cable here. And then back over here on the initial 2 that we placed down, we're going to have 2 more filter pumps. Oops, not putting it there. We're going to have those 2 filter pumps bringing out the heavy oil, and they're going to be feeding 2 of the chemical reactors here, and only one of these is what we'll actually be able to set up today. The other one, we need the stainless steel to be actually be able to make what it's going to produce. So on the left one here, we can go ahead and set it to make the plastic. We need the heavy oil and the ethylene stuff, so the ethylene stuff is the issue, and we can go ahead and just set it. We'll go ahead and have that running into something. And then on the right one over here, we're going to have it making the sulfur because we need the sulfur to go ahead and make the sulfuric acid, and the sulfuric acid is needed for the later stages of the game here where we need to make things. So since these guys are actually up and away from that oil line, we can just go ahead and connect it with the aluminum piping for right now, just to go ahead and keep it all same metal type and such. So we just run these guys into those, and we should be able to just drag the pipe across the top here. So for right now, these 2 can actually terminate into just storage racks right now so that we can go ahead and build a little backlog of these things until we're actually able to go ahead and use these. So this guy's just going to backlog a bunch of sulfur, and then we should be kind of okay. The reason we need that sulfuric acid, I totally spaced on, is because we need the rare earth metal, because that's actually how we make this next tier of circuits. So we can go ahead and click on these. All of our computers are full of these circuits right now, so we're actually able to go ahead and get through some of this stuff. I think for the most part, we're going to be skipping over the stainless steel tier of machinery because the only new thing in this tier is the industrial smelter and these 2 items here. So I think we'll hold off until we get into whatever the next tier is, which I think is titanium. And we'll go ahead and then swap all of our machines over because we're not going to be really making a ton of stainless steel. So it's going to take even longer to go ahead and change our stuff out than it already has to take the aluminum stuff and swap it out. So we'll go ahead and connect these guys up really quick. We can go ahead and punch a hole through these guys to go ahead and run the kinetic engines over here. And we also need to run our steam lines and our water line. I think one of these needed water, right? This guy's heavy oil and ethylene. I think this one over here needed water. Yeah, we need water to this guy. So we need to go ahead and put a pump here and then run a copper line on over to go ahead and feed it the water it needs. So for right now, we can go ahead and drag these guys down, right? We'll just run a kinetic line from that guy right there, and then that should get these guys up and running. We can go ahead and run the heat pipe just from these guys up to the things that we need there. And I believe these guys are on this level, and then we can go over number 3 or 4, I think, and then we should be able to go ahead and connect into that line. We might not have enough of these guys because we haven't just crafted any. We do have a bunch of steel, so we should be fine in making these. So we can just go ahead and drag this guy on over, and that should connect into this. If we have enough, we might be a little short. Yeah, we're a little short. Okay, I need to go craft some of those, and then that can go ahead and get running. If we go ahead and connect in our heat stuff, though, we can go ahead and do that. We have plenty of these pipes to go, so we'll go down one more and then connect this guy into that guy, go down one more and connect it over to this side so we don't have it interacting with the piping and stuff. So that should work, and then this guy can actually drop down, right, and connect into this thing with no issue. So that's that connected in, and we should have all the heat we need for that. Another thing we might have an issue with right now is our electrical cable. Our copper is not very fast. It is a super slow process right now because of the way we have our factory set up this time around, but it's kind of to be expected, I suppose. So we just need one more electrical cable here, and then we will go ahead and connect this eventually with the rest of this. I disabled my coil maker so we can actually backlog a little bit of the copper so we can go ahead and make cables because we don't have any copper in our line right now. So with the water, we can actually kind of piggyback off of this area here. So if we run a water line to the side, we should be able to just drag it down there because this is going to connect in pretty nicely. So we can just go from there and we'll hug the rail here. So that should be our water line connected in. This guy should be full of water, I think. Yeah, it's got water in it, so that's squared away. We need to run our steam line, and this guy needs steam as well, I think. Yeah, it needs steam as well, so we need 3 steam lines, and we need our containers, because right now we don't have the stuff to burn off the gasoline. We can use one of the fluid furnaces that we have down right now, but I think we're going to hold off on that and make one of the big stainless steel generators. That way we get a bunch of kinetic out of it whenever it does actually kick on and run, because it's not going to be something that's running frequently enough to actually warrant setting up like a line of the fluid furnaces to process that stuff through. So our steam line actually needs to drop down like maybe 3 or 4 so that we don't accidentally connect into our ore water line, because if we do that, then we will have the line mixed up, and I think we need to break all of the pipes to get that stuff out of the line. I could be wrong, but it's been a minute since I had that happen. So that should be low enough, and then we should be able to just go ahead and drag it all the way back. Don't tell me this is the ore line, is it? That's the electrical. Okay, that's fine. So we can go ahead and have it go down, and that should be fine because that's the steam line there. So we should be okay to continue on here, I suppose. And we can just go ahead and drop it down another one to go ahead and connect in. So we'll go there and then down a little bit to connect. And if I hold shift, does that do the thing? It makes it a little L shape. So we'll just do it like that. So with the steam connected, that should get those machines up and running. I'm going to go ahead and make some more flywheels in between episodes. I think we put down another 3 or 4 of the generators here, or the turbines. We added in one more electrical engine, and I think we're just barely staying positive here. We have a backlog of kinetic, but this was a little finicky. We also added in a bunch more boilers. But I'm not too sure because I think these are just barely keeping up with what we have down. Anything else on the line, it's going to start straining the system, and it's going to end up kicking off. But let me go ahead and get some of the flywheels built up so we can get the oil processing through and start building a little bit of a backlog here. So while the flywheels are crafting up here, we can go ahead and run our gold out of the crate that it's currently in, or the rack that it's currently in, and we can have it going into a little smelting array to go ahead and have it ready to go when we do get around to making that line. So we'll just have it run underground a little bit, and we'll probably end up running it over there maybe, just to go ahead and go into a couple furnaces to go ahead and process it through. So I need our conveyors here, and we're gonna go down and over in this direction. So we need it to actually stop maybe there so that we can actually run a thing underground here, or underneath it, so that we're actually able to do the thing we need to do because we can't go through the pipe there. So we'll go ahead and have it come up right here, and then we'll just have it go into a couple of the furnaces. So if I could get it to target and come on up here. I need another one. There we go. And then that should be fine, right? We can go out a little bit so that we have some room, and then we can just go ahead and place these guys down so that it's smelting down the gold, and that should be fine. And for right now, it can just go ahead and terminate into a rack here. That's just going to go ahead and sit there. Eventually, I think we have the recipe researched. I think if it's in here, we might not be able to make it in our inventory. Let me just see. We have these guys. I think we can go ahead and do that. And yeah, this is what we needed to be making. So we'll go ahead and set that recipe in motion as well. So we can actually just go ahead and do this. And then we need another rack, and that'll go ahead and make the coils. And then we can backlog the coils for right now because we don't have the stainless steel that we need for it to go ahead and use these. But we can go ahead and at least make some of those. So I need to run some more power cable over to this thing. Let me go make another rack really quick, and then we can have that stuff just getting stored for right now. So now while we wait for our electrical cables to go ahead and craft on up here, we can go ahead and connect in our dynamos, our flywheels, not dynamos, and we should have oil pumping through the line here. We should have stuff getting processed. The only stuff that won't be getting processed are the little chemical reactors on the sides here. So we do have heavy oil in all of our stuff coming out, and we need to go ahead and set in motion some of the little fluid containers because we need to go ahead and store that gasoline. Like I said, we don't have a way of utilizing it just yet. So we can also run our power cable now that those are ready to go. We can just take this guy out of there because I've messed up and placed one there. We can drag that over one. I did it again. We can drag this on over to our line now, so we can just follow our flywheel line, and we should be able to just go ahead and connect in with no issue here. So we need to run it to there, and then this guy needs to come down and connect in. So let's go down a little bit, please. Thank you. And connect you in like that. We need the line to also go this way a little bit because we need to connect to the front one here, and I think that pipe is going to be in the way, so we'll just go over and down. Oops, I placed the thing there. I didn't mean to. Can I get you back, please? Thank you. And then the last one over here, we can just run backwards a little bit so it goes past the piping, and then we should be fine, right? We can connect right in, no issue like that. And that should be the entirety of the oil line set in motion right now. The only thing we can't do, again, is because the stainless steel is not here, so we can't set that line up. This line should be running. We should be making the producer gas, and we are indeed. It's going into the thing, and it's just going to backlog for right now until we're able to go ahead and process that stuff. And the same thing with our gasoline here. So now that our little containers are done, we can go ahead and throw them on here, so it'll at least keep running for a little bit. It will stop eventually because we're going to backlog this stuff, and then we're not going to have stuff getting put through the system. So, ooh, you know what? I don't want that happening. So we should be able to go like this. And I'm not sure if we need to run a pump on these. It is storing. Okay, no, so we don't need a pump on that. Does this one need a pump? No. So they're all connected. We have a 360 capacity storage. So it should run for a little while before we have to do anything about it. So we're actually going to remove this rack because we don't want that stuff stockpiling that much. So what we're going to do instead is have it go into this guy. This guy is going to take that sulfur, mix it with oxygen and water, and it's going to produce the sulfuric acid. I didn't pay attention to the recipes here, but yeah, that's what we're going to go ahead and have it make. We can throw all of our sulfur back in there, and in order to go ahead and actually get this line up and running, right, we can have the water going in there. That's not an issue, but we need the oxygen, and the only way to get the oxygen is through the atmospheric condenser, I believe, unless we can put a pump down and get oxygen out of this, which would be cool. I don't see the little thing going up, so no, I don't think we can. So with our atmospheric condenser here, we'll just run it off of the flywheels that are powering up our oil rigs here, so that should be fine. We'll run a probably copper cable to go, or a copper pipe to go ahead and feed this thing so we don't have any crossing here. And that should start producing this stuff here. And there we go. We got our first little bit of oxygen. We're going to have the sulfuric acid coming out of this. And then we'll go ahead and have that storing into a tank here. And we need this stuff to go ahead and mix with aluminum and iron. But we need the aluminum variant first because it gives us the rare earth metal. And with that rare earth metal, we make the quantum core. And the quantum core is what's used for the next tier of the circuits. And so to automate it, we need our stainless steel up and running so we can actually make those things. Or we can go ahead and mix them with our hands, and we can go ahead and make them, and then we can progress our research tree a little bit here, but we need this stuff to go ahead and go through the chemical baths to make those. And I think we have one of those things crafted already, so we can kind of set that up right now. We just don't have a whole lot of conveyor belts is the only thing kind of holding me up right now. So for right now, what we're going to go ahead and do actually is take out the pump. We're going to run through the capacity that we built up in this thing already so we don't lose that sulfuric acid here. And we'll go ahead and just place these guys down right here. We have one of them right now, and that's really all we need for right now. We need another one to make the hard metal, but that's going to be like after we get into titanium is when we can actually start using that stuff, so that's going to be a minute. And we'll go ahead and place it there. That should be fine, and we can have our flywheels come up from here. We can have a pump going into this thing like that. And I'm not too sure if we need a pump pumping out of this thing or not to go ahead and make the thing we need. So we'll do the aluminum for right now. We don't need a pump pumping out. Okay. And for right now, what we'll do is we'll just have an arm taking the stuff out of here. We'll have the arm on top here, and we'll just put a chest up there, and we'll fill it up manually with a little bit of the aluminum stuff, because we just need this stuff to make the little cores to go ahead and progress a little bit here. So we don't need too much, and our line is kind of not set up in a way to actually feed this thing, so we have to kind of disable aluminum making right now until we get that thing up and running. So actually it might kind of be set up for this in a way, because we have the macerators kind of backlogged at the way we have it set up right now. The macerators produce more of the ore stuff than it's actually putting through the line, so we might be able to go ahead and take the stuff out of there with arms and just go ahead and have it conveyor over here, I guess, and terminate into the chest, so that we're constantly making the rare earth stuff. And then what we need to go ahead and do right now, right, that's going to take a minute to actually process through. So actually we are kind of going to disable our aluminum line for right now, because we need the aluminum that the electrolyzers make. So the aluminum dust, just the cleaned out stuff. We're going to need this stuff as well to be making the rare earth metal stuff. So we can have this going into a chest, and we'll just kind of manually come back and forth and take as we need it. And that should work there. And so we're going to need this stuff, because we need to mix it with the chromium oxide stuff that we have currently, and we're going to need it later on for our titanium. But for right now, we need these two to mix to go ahead and make chromium dust, and then we need that to go ahead and mix with iron dust to go ahead and make the stainless steel. So we'll just go ahead and disable it for right now, so that we can go ahead and feed the lines manually to go ahead and start making some minor bits of stainless steel here. So that can go there. Need to go ahead and get this guy set up as well to go ahead and just feed into a chest, so that we can have this stuff backlogged as well. So now we need to go ahead and make another one of the little chemical reactor things, because we don't have any more. So we need electrical engines, which might be a bit of an issue. So for right now, we're going to set up like a super ghetto little line here. So we need the chromium dust that I think we are making in our iron line, I believe, because that's gold. So this one should be the chromium oxide. It is indeed. Okay, so we need to take that stuff and the aluminum that we just disabled into one of these little guys over here. So I'm just going to go ahead and run it over here for right now, because we already have an electrical line set up. So we'll go ahead and set the recipe here. So we're going to need the aluminum coming in and the chromium coming in, so we can just go ahead and do one of those and one of those, if I can get it to go on top. Thank you. And then we're going to need that stuff going into a mixer, so that's going to go right there. Should be fine, right? We can just go ahead and have this stuff get armed into that. We can go ahead and select the recipe, so it should be this guy. And then we're going to need to arm in the iron dust as well, so we can just go ahead and set up another one of these little gimmicky little chest and arm things, so we can go ahead and fill that with some of the iron. We can have the stainless steel coming out and going into one of the furnaces, because I think we have some of those made right now. I kind of want to be a little cautious about burning through the rest of our aluminum, just in case we need another turbine or something. So we did have two of these made, so we can go ahead and just place them here for right now. We'll place the power thing on the back side, and actually we need those somewhere else, because those aren't going to actually work there. So we need the conveyor belt going down a little bit. We can have our arms going into the smelters, and I think that should be fine, right? I think that's the spacing, and that should be fine. We don't need to select the recipe on that. We don't need to select the recipe on that one. We can go ahead and put an arm there, and then these two can go ahead and terminate into a rack right now. We're not going to be really outputting a whole bunch of steel or stainless steel right now, because it's going to be a really janky line right now. So we don't really need to go ahead and set up a hammer line and all that stuff, because we're not going to have a whole lot coming through the line, so it's not really worth setting up right now. So we can go ahead and disable our steel line as well. We can have that stuff go into a chest, because that's the stuff we need. So that's going to start backlogging. We can go ahead and grab some of this. I don't think we can fit all of that in the chest, but we can go ahead and try. So it's going into this one, right? Yes. So we'll have it go here, and that's actually all the backlog we have. So it actually fit in that chest. That's not a good sign of things. And then we need to go grab some of that aluminum, and we actually had 2 stacks and 12 already backlogged. So that should be kind of okay. That's going to go ahead and start the process of being turned into the chromium dust, and then that's going to go into here. So let's go grab our little bit of steel or iron, because we don't have a whole lot yet. We have 12, but it should be enough to go ahead and at least get a little bit of the steel put through, and then we should have our first couple little ingots here in a second once the stuff is mixed together. How much is it actually for 1 ingot? We need 10 for 10. Okay, never mind. So that should be fine. And here comes our first stainless steel ingot. So we have one in there, and we can go ahead and make nothing because it's all pretty much multiple ingots here. We can make pipes if we want to waste the ingots on that. So I think the first thing we're going to go ahead and make is the industrial smelter, because we need that to go ahead and make titanium, and we need it to go ahead and make the other metals here. So we need it to make the hard metal. So I think that's mainly the only thing we're going to make with it, because that's going to go ahead and allow us to go ahead and kind of skip over, for the most part, the stainless steel tier and just kind of go right into the titanium era, since in the titanium one we have the reactors and we have the new industrial boiler, the industrial steam turbine, we have the industrial electric engine in the steel area, or stainless steel era, but we're going to go ahead and probably just skip it and go into the titanium one as well. So that's really the only thing we're going to make in this tier, is that guy. So we might also make this guy just so we can burn off that gasoline, but I'm not too sure just yet. So I think that's actually going to go ahead and be it for today. We went ahead and got a little bit of stainless steel set up. We have our oil line pretty much set up. We do need to go ahead and kind of get this stuff automated in a way. We don't need a whole ton of it. We just need enough of it to go ahead and make the catalyst cells, so we can actually start making the plastic to go ahead and automate the next set of the circuits. But I think for right now, that's going to go ahead and be it for today's episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed as always, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.